Good morning. We are looking again here at the beginning of this week at Romans chapter 7. And as we look at Romans 7, we're going to pick up in verse 4 and the last portion of verse 4. But I'll read all of verse 4 again. And we'll cover a couple of verses this morning because we want to focus particularly on the results of our death to the law. And keep in mind how significant this is. Because we live in a culture, if you live in our state, where I'm recording these of Utah, you know what it is to be surrounded by a religion that tends to be immersed in law. And the immersion in law, where you have a kind of celestial law that you have to follow, you have a word of wisdom that plays into that and other components, then you know what it is to sort of be in a posture of earning. And Paul is driving away from that. He's trying to show what a kind of life that is lived to righteousness but is not under the tyranny of the law looks like. So beginning in Romans 7, verse 4, likewise, my brothers, you also have died to the law through the body of Christ, so that you may belong to another, to him who has been raised from the dead. The reason we looked at last time that you died to the law is so that you could belong to Christ. And Christ is not the kind of exacting taskmaster that is asking you to jump through hoops. The text goes on and says, to him who has been raised from the dead, in order that, so this gives you the reason. When we see the words in order that at the end of verse 4, in order that we may bear fruit for God. So if you're going to really bear fruit for the Lord, authentic fruit, not a fruit that is kind of stapled on the tree, that's just external, but actually grows from the root, well, then you'd have to have your heart changed by Christ. Verse 5 reads, for while we were living in the flesh, our sinful passions, aroused by the law, were at work in our members to bear fruit for death. The law stirred up sin. We've talked about that. It showed us what was right and wrong, kind of connected with our flesh, right? We've used the illustration of keep off the grass or don't touch the wet paint, and it sort of stirred in us to reach over that boundary. But now, he says, we're released from the law, verse 6, having died to that which held us captive, that which we'd never be able to keep in perfection, died to that which held us captive, so that we serve in the new way of the Spirit, and not in the old way of the written code. More tomorrow about that idea, the new way of the Spirit, not the old way of the written code. For now, know that real fruit comes from a real root, and Jesus is the one who changes us from the inside out, gives us a new root, so that we're not just stapling on fruit by lawful obedience. May the Lord bless you today.